In this video I'm going to demonstrate how to make your trolley more tweaked for hair trigger, for semi-automatic. I've done this for version 2 and version 3 quite often. I have version 2 video, I have some version 3 videos over this, but I want to go more in depth in it. The reason I didn't do the cutoff lever with JB Weld is because it's got like a chrome. It's a Lonix version 3 chrome plated cutoff lever, and even after cutting down the material a little bit, roughing it up, the JB Weld, you have to wait 24 hours, and maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe this material takes a lot more roughening up, a lot more time to make it more doable. So what you could do is the trolley modification instead. I'm going to pull out this trigger here, and the way this trigger works is a sear on the back here. This one is modified. Right at the tip there's a little bit cut off right here. So right at the tip there's a little bit cut off. I'm trying to find the camera, I'm sorry. You can see there, that's to allow space with this modification. This modification uses putting a screw in your trolley. Now, I only suggest modifying this slightly on the edge if it's necessary. What happens is this sear pivots inside here first. Let's zoom up on this real quick. So, just like this. And once you do that, I can't move it anymore past this way. It's locked in there. But the way this works is this is it rotates a little bit. It turns like this. As this turns, it pushes the trolley forward. You can kind of see that. And that's what happens. There's a spring up on top, and as this is moved forward, this gets pulled up by the cutoff lever and it slips under. That's what makes this go above it. And then you can re-grab it when you let go of the trigger and it gets back in position. Adding a screw through the piece, like you see here, depending on the thickness of your trolley, this one doesn't really have, you can't put the screw in a better position. So where it's at, you want some extra reinforcement by leaving it in there, so it's kind of going through it. So what the modification on the sear, it's just to bypass. So if this does slip like it's supposed to, it will continue to slip. The screw will be completely missed, and that's what that little bit of cut down is for, just on the edge of it, so it doesn't rough up with that and get caught. Now this is drilled a very small hole, and then you use a screwdriver and a screw, put it in there, and you shape it about the same. The reason I had to do this is not just because this is more reliable, and you can see the super glue added on to kind of make it where it's harder. I can't turn it, but it's more reliable metal, and it's in a proper position. When I was working on this, and many other version 3 gearboxes have it, this is what it looks like. And this is not in a proper position. What happens is this is really far back, and there's no way for the cutoff to actually engage. It can't, get up. So when this has to get so far forward, then it finally engages. But on some triggers, they touch the contacts before this can even come close to being engaged. So a smaller or slower rate of fire has no problem, because once you hold the trigger, it's going to cycle, and then it will be able to catch it. But when you're using LiPo, you're using the better discharge, faster rate of fire, it's just unreliable. You can just see it just does not catch. However, this, the engagement is right next to, it's still able to pull up and get hit by the cutoff lever. So this still functions the intended way, and it's more reliable to have metal there, because the metal This tip right here is plastic, and you can see it's very very thin, and that's usually where it would hit first, right as it contacted. So just to demonstrate, right when I would get about right here where the contacts touch, it would touch the tip of this plastic at the very end, and that would break off. So intentionally I put a screw in there. It's metal. That can't happen. Then I put some glue in afterwards. Actually, I put glue and waited and let it dry, and then cut it down very slowly because it gets hot with friction. You don't want to mess it up. Then remove the glue and reapplied. I did put some in here too, but you want to have basically about the same shape. So now this is usable and will always be reliable on semi-auto. And that's how you would do your trolley modification. Now, I always suggest hand testing. If you don't hand test it and you cycle your sector gear with the motor, it will come around, hit this really hard, and break your trolley. It can break pieces in here of plastic. It can, it just can't lift up. This is why you must always hand test any modification you do. Make sure it works properly. If you get too high up here in the top, the cutoff lever may not bypass for full automatic, which that means you may not be able to pull the trigger. So you have to pretty much get it about the same. Now you could remove the plastic in the back here. It's not necessary because the way this is designed, it only hits right in that screw area. But the screw is the main part, the main thing to look out for. You have to have it in the right spot, pretty good shape of like a triangle so that it can hit that section and also move out of the way while being used. And I'll do a quick demonstration of this working. Go ahead and put this in here. And I had a little screw right here. Okay, so put this in. Grab your screwdriver here. If I can do this, I can't see what I'm doing. All right. If you have a hard time putting your trigger spring in, it's pretty simple. First you put the spring in and you rotate. You could even use a screwdriver, hold it down, and you rotate this in place like this. And once you get there, you want to take and push down in the two holes. Apply pressure until it locks itself. Okay, so I can go ahead and close this here. Put the screw in. And now here's the testing. So you look at this side, cutoff can come up, you can see where the screw is, and if I barely pull, I can still hit the cutoff. Just barely pull forward. See, it's stuck. That's what you want. So I let go of the trigger. If I barely pull the trigger. Now, you look through here at the contacts, and as soon as it touches, you should have plenty of bypass here. If the screw gets far enough forward, then it's not hitting the tip, and that's what you want for it to be reliable. Now here, I'm going to push it forward, and you can just push down on your cutoff lever and look at your contacts and make sure they're not touching anymore. If they're not touching anymore, and your trigger works like that, then you're good to go. And you could apply some material and make it a shorter trigger pull, but this is just demonstration. You check again. What you also want to look at is where the trolley is, and you can put the tappet plate in there. Make sure that the trolley can move properly, all that testing and so forth. You see I'm looking on, I don't see how it can hit. So again, and see it does get stopped there, so you let go. And this would work fine. That's how you would do your trolley modification for version 3 gearbox.